ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Spider-Man Miles Morales figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are going to be taking a look at Miles in his Bodega catsuit and answering the one big question on my mind: what on earth is underneath that hoodie? Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and a points-based reward system. If you do enjoy seeing early Hot Toys review videos, why not hit that subscribe and bell notification icon so you're notified as soon as a brand new video goes live on the channel. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art and I absolutely love it. There's an image from the game of Miles and Spider-Man the cat right up here on the front of the box. Spider-Man Miles Morales, his name down below, once again on the side of the box, and also up top with another image of them both. You do also have all the various warnings on the back of the box. Now if you do slide it open, you do get a sneak preview of the figures inside. But we're not here for sneak previews, we're here to bust them out of the packaging. Now I am curious, how is this guy going to stack up next to the other version of Miles that we already have? Is this one going to be my new favourite? Well, I hope to answer all of that throughout the course of the video. First in-hand impressions for Miles though, this guy does feel substantially different already compared to that other version. What we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all the parts and pieces, and this guy comes with a ton of stuff. Starting off with the display base first, it is the usual hexagonal style base, Spidey symbol up top with a gorgeous blend of blue, purple and red. You also have a yellow outline that extends around the edge of the base, Bodega catsuit up top, and a dynamic flight bowl. Now you do have a waist clamp. Do be careful, this is extremely stiff, so it may potentially do some damage to the suit. It is padded, but I have found that these points at the front can be very sharp. This would not be the Bodega catsuit without the Bodega cat, who is of course Spider-Man the cat. Now we have seen this guy before with the first version of Miles, and this is the exact same piece. The sculpt work is identical, and so too are the paint applications. He does have a ton of fur texture, and I like the lighter belly. He can slide into the bag, which is fully padded. The bag itself is made of a sturdy hard rubber. If you, however, don't want him in the bag, you can simply remove this front cover and bring in the replacement version, which actually has the bag fully closed. Now there is a ton of texture on the surface, and I do love how well painted it is. All of the zips, all of the stripes, and all of the red sections absolutely pop. Now in order to install it on him, you can just slide it over one side and then unclip the strap on the other to bring it over the front and peg it in place. It's super simple, but super effective. You do, however, get another version of Spider-Man the cat. This one is a brand new sculpt specific to this figure. He does have his own display base with a ball joint up top, so you get a little bit of posability, and the texture is on point here as well. The tail and all the legs are fixed in position, but this works perfectly for me. Depending on the angle, he can look like he's running or jumping. Now, if you don't want him on the display base, you do have another option. This clear little clip section. Now it pegs into that very same ball joint, but this time you actually clip it over the handles of the backpack. And that means when you have this on Miles, Spider-Man the cat is jumping over his shoulder. I will absolutely be displaying mine with Spidey the cat on the bag And don't worry, we will be trying this out a little bit later on. You do also get a pair of rollerblades, and these are awesome. You do have some proper spinning tires down below, and they do have some dirt and grime on the surface. The same thing can be said for the rest of the boot. The thrusters look like they have some pitting on the metallic sections and on the tape, plus there is some discoloration up top here. You do have some writing over the top, which I guess would also be on top of tape, and some real wires that connect underneath to the thruster on the other side. Don't worry, we will be trying these out on Miles a little bit later on as well. This wouldn't be a Spider-Man release without some webbing, and these are the exact same webs we've seen a bunch of times before. Some smaller ones, some longer ones, and one that you can use to have him swinging in the air, plus my favourite, the spooled up web. Now you can take the funnel web attachment and peg it on to one of the longer webs so it looks like he's webbing up some villains. Now I personally have never actually done that in my display, but I have seen some super creative posers like posing with Peter get it done, and it looks fantastic. Because Miles does have a very specific power set, he also comes with his Venom strike effects. I love the way these look as well. They're a translucent yellow and they do bleed into a more clear plastic up the top, as though the power is more concentrated towards his fist and it emanates out from there. They are slightly stretchy, so they should hopefully fit around his forearms and his hands. The best way to find out how to do this is to simply read the instructions. They outline which piece goes on which side and how you are supposed to get them on there without causing any damage to the figure or to the effect pieces. This is something that is very simple yet very effective. It's a 1/6 scale cardboard box. There's some Daily Bugle newspaper clippings on the front and it is wrapped very nicely. For those wondering what on earth is this, I haven't actually played the game. Well, this is the box that Peter stores Miles' new suit in when Peter goes away on holiday. Of course, in 1/6 scale, there's no actual suit in here, but the fact that you get this, yeah, it's a really classy touch. Speaking of classy touches, that's exactly how I would describe his sketchbook. It is covered in cardboard, it's got some printing on the front, but it's what's inside that's truly mind-blowing. You have some sketches that have literally been lifted from the game. All of the details with Miles' suit patterns and designs, and the web shooters. I even spot a little coffee stain down in the bottom corner, which I guess works perfectly because you do get an included coffee cup. So if you did want to have this sitting open on the display base with the coffee cup resting on there, yeah, you could absolutely do that. The coffee cup does have some printing on the surface, the rest of it is all hard sculpted plastic. This does look to be accurate to the coffee cups that you see in the game, although technically you could use this with literally any figure in your display that you think needs to have a cup of coffee. You do also get some smaller accessories in the form of a cell phone with a conversation with Genki on the front. The rest of it is just plain sculpted black plastic. The headphones are a little bit flexible so you can pop them around his head. The instructions, once again, are your best friend here. They will tell you exactly how to put this on. I'm pretty sure in the game these headphones were Sony branded, but I could be wrong. I do like that there is some subtle texture on the inside of the ear cups. That's something that they could have left smooth, but it's a very nice detail that makes them look even more realistic. Of course, being a modern-day Spidey figure, he does come with multiple interchangeable magnetic lenses. You do have the really big wide-open ones that are currently on the figure, some smaller, slightly squinted ones, and then some very squinted ones. Don't worry, we will be trying these out a little bit later on. And then lastly, a full array of Spidey hands, including some web shooting hands that do have this little palm swap out so you can have the web spool down below. That means you can peg in one of the web effects and it looks like it's shooting out of his web shooter. Otherwise, you can replace it with the smooth section so the glove is then fully detailed. Speaking of detail, there is a ton of surface texture here. There's some dotted sections for the fingers, a little bit of hex pattern or basketball texture for the hands, and some sunken in fully sculpted and painted web lines. These hands are super detailed and they do match the lower half of the suit very nicely. What we are going to do now though is get Miles himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And when this guy was announced, I didn't see a ton of fanfare. People were saying, where's Purple Rain? Where's the tracksuit? And I'm right there with you. I would have loved to have seen those. But this one was actually at the top of my list because of how simple it is. And I think if you weren't planning on picking this guy up at the start of the video, there are a couple of things that may potentially change your mind. Because underneath the hoodie he is all stretchy spandex, you can go crazy with the posing, at least on the upper torso. And it's not often that you can do that with a Spidey figure. There are only a handful that you can pose a little bit more freely and not have to worry about damage. This one, for the most part, is a figure that falls into that category. He comes with a ton of accessories, I love the head sculpt, and the proportions on the body are flawless. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. Now in just a second we will be popping on his rollerblades and his backpack, because of course we do have to complete the look. But before we do that, let's talk about the head sculpt. I absolutely love it. The shape is on point, the massive comic inspired lenses, and the sunken in red web lines. We will be doing a comparison back to the original Miles in just a second. You can also switch out the lenses by pushing the top corner and they will simply slide out. They are held in with magnets. There is some hexagon pattern printed on the black, the red, and also on his glossy white lenses. Although you do have to look very closely to see it. Now he is wearing a hoodie and the hood is fully wearable, plus it is wired, so you can shape it to your desired look. He also has some drawstrings around the front that actually do work, so if you pull them, the hood is going to get a lot tighter. But for me, I don't think I want to cover up this head sculpt, I'm just going to leave the hood down. Now the entire upper torso is covered by said hoodie. There is also a grey t-shirt underneath and all of this is fabric. Now if you are wondering if there is a full spider suit underneath, we will be answering that question a little bit later on. You do have a printed spider logo on the chest here, and it's upside down. It's also a little rough, so it looks like it's been stenciled and spray painted on. I love the way this looks, plus having it upside down isn't something that we get to see very often. He does have web shooters on his sleeves which can freely move around, so if you do have his wrists in different positions, the web shooter will move to accommodate. Down below for the pants, or the rest of the suit I should say, it is that regular Hot Toys stretchy rubbery style material. There is some texture on the surface, various panel lines, and of course some gorgeous metallic red web lines coming down to his poppin' bright red sneakers. I absolutely love the way these look as well. They do have a little bit of flex to them, and yes, your ears aren't lying to you, that is an articulation point. They do have some texture on the surface, so they do look like they are supposed to be made of leather, and you do have some detail on the underside for the sole. I love the pop of red, the only thing that's missing is branding. These, I'm pretty sure, are supposed to be Adidas. Correct me if I'm wrong though, down in the comments below. Switching out the various parts and pieces was very straightforward. You already saw how you do the eyes, they're magnetic. I actually prefer the larger eyes. Now, having the option of making them slightly more squinted for action poses, always a good thing. But the bigger ones are just that much more comic booky. Now around the back I do have Spider-Man the cat in his backpack. Now because it is fully sculpted to perfectly hug the body, it does just that. Spider-Man the cat slots in up top, you switch out this front panel, and then you slide the rubbery straps over his arms. It is very simple. Now, the Venom strike effect is a little bit challenging to get around his hand, because it isn't the softest material in the world. You will have to fight with it. I would recommend maybe heating it up first. If this was a little bit more rubbery, it would have gone on far easier, but then again, it might not have looked as translucent. Then coming down to the rollerblades, these were surprisingly the easiest of the bunch. They literally just slide on to some straight pegs. I was thinking I would have to sit here and wrestle with some ball joints, but thank goodness I didn't have to. And they look really good on here. They do give him a little bit more height, and he is going to be impossible to get standing without the use of the display base. But having some rollerblades on a Spidey figure, yeah, this is a very fun and unique looking figure. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have Bodega Catsuit on the left and the original suit on the right. Now as you can see, Bodega is ever so slightly taller, and I think that's because of his high tops. The original suit has much slimmer soles, which then makes him a little bit shorter. Now if you did put on the rollerblades, then he would be even taller once again. Now this doesn't bother me whatsoever. I like that they are slightly different heights. It adds to the accuracy. Now as for the comparison with the suits, it's kind of hard to do because most of the suit on the left is covered up by the hoodie. Not that there's really much to look at underneath anyway. I do, however, absolutely love the Bodega Catsuit head sculpt, and I'm curious to try out some swaps there. Next up, I know, not technically game accurate, but here we have the classic suit Spidey. And these two, yeah, they look good together, but I think the other Miles complements this suit a little bit better. Because he is wearing the hoodie, it's a very specific look. It's something a little bit more casual, but then the head sculpt really speaks to me. I don't know, I'm having a really tough time deciding which one I prefer. But at the end of the day, if you did plan on displaying these two together, well, here's what it looks like. This, however, is technically more accurate. Here we have the advanced suit. He is ever so slightly taller than Miles, but not as much as I was expecting. And I think that's once again down to the shoes. Peter's shoes are integrated into his suit, they aren't adding a bunch of height, whereas Miles' shoes are separate pieces and they are rather chunky, so they are giving him a little bit of a boost. At the end of the day though, once again, it's not a huge deal for me. These two still look really good together. For those wondering, if you do have the first Miles and want to switch out the head sculpt, yeah, it's absolutely compatible. And technically, this head sculpt is the one that was pictured on the front of the box, so it's not super inaccurate to display him this way. But for me, the more curious combination was how would the Bodega Catsuit head sculpt look on the original Miles' body, and why not try it out? This to me looks absolutely incredible. I love this head sculpt on this body. I think it complements it perfectly. Now the big lenses do kind of give me Ultimate Miles vibes, which I guess works for the full suit. Now there is a slight color mismatch between the head sculpt and the body. The mask is slightly darker and the web lines are sunken in, whereas on the body they are raised. But if you wanted to display him like this in the collection, then yeah, this head sculpt is absolutely compatible with this body. Just going over articulation. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I am willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt, it is on a ball joint at the base of the head, and another at the base of the neck. Looking forward to there, going back to there, swivel and then pivot side to side. The arms do go up the full way on very clicky and sturdy ratchets. Going forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow that does get you past 90, plus a regular 1/6 scale wrist peg. The torso will crunch forward and back quite significantly on very clicky and sturdy ratchets, swivel, and then a ton of pivot side to side. The legs go forward once again on ratchets, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee that does get you past 90, a double ball peg down here for the ankle, and yes, toe articulation. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is that he doesn't come with 2 simple closed fists. He comes with one for the right side, but the hand that's meant to be used on the other side has a hole drilled through it. Now this is meant to be used with the web effects, which is perfectly fine. I'm happy if they include a hand like this. But in my opinion, you still need to include a regular closed fist for both sides. The second annoying thing, and I guess this is kind of subjective, to me it's annoying because I was really expecting a full spider suit underneath, but as you can very clearly see, there isn't one. Underneath the hoodie, it's just this stretchy black spandex. Now, the reason I said it's subjective is because up here on the upper torso, it extends all the way down the arms. That means you can go absolutely crazy with the posing here and not have to worry about damaging a suit underneath. Also, there is very little to no padding, so you get an absolutely extreme range of motion. The third annoying thing is an extremely minor one, I will admit. It's this little drawstring that kind of just has a life of its own. I would have loved to have seen wires in here so you could have had them lay down or billow off in the wind, but at the very least you could have chosen how they sit on the hood. As it stands, this one literally just wants to do its own thing. And for figure photography or just for neutral posing, yeah, it can be a little distracting. The first cool thing almost makes up for there not being any branding on the shoes. When I got this out of the box and flexed the toe a little and saw that, hey, it's a little bit flexible, I wonder if... And as soon as I heard that click, I knew, Hot Toys, you crazy geniuses, you did a ratcheted toe inside some high-top sneakers. That is awesome, and something that I never thought I would see. Now, whether or not this shoe will damage over time by flexing it back and forward, I don't know, and quite frankly, I don't care. Because Hot Toys doing something like this, yeah, it makes me very happy. The second cool thing is that we did get a brand new head sculpt with this version of Miles. The eyes are a lot bigger, the web lines are indented versus the smaller ones with the raised webbing here on the left. The third cool thing is his sketchbook. Now this is something that could have very simply been a fully sculpted piece with some detail on the surface. Now there is detail printed here, but on the inside, as you saw earlier, all of the front pages are fully printed, and it shows you the design process for Miles' suit, including the design for his web shooters. For one bonus cool thing, even though there isn't any branding on the sides of his shoes, he does have a teeny tiny spider symbol on the back. Now it's going to have to be up to you if this makes up for not having branding anywhere else. For me, yeah, this does the trick. Just wrapping up on the Hot Toys Spider-Man Miles Morales in the Bodega catsuit. Now going into this, I was really excited. I think justifiably so. The first version of Miles was fantastic. But this guy, this figure right here is something truly special. It's the perfect blend of a very accurate looking suit with something that you can pose. Now don't get me wrong, his lower half is still in that stretchy rubbery plastic, so you will have to be careful there, but you can do whatever you want with the upper torso. That's a level of freedom that we don't often get with our Spidey figures, at least not ones that look as accurate as this guy does. Plus, the body is very well articulated, there's limited padding, and the proportions are on point. That, coupled with the fact he comes with a spectacular array of accessories, multiple effect pieces, 2 versions of Spider-Man the Cat, one that can peg onto the shoulder strap of the backpack itself, headphones, a cell phone, coffee cup, interchangeable eyes, the list goes on. This guy is stacked. Now, I totally understand if this look isn't for you. It's a very niche outfit. It's a Spidey suit, but it does have a hoodie over the top. Some of you may prefer just a regular Spidey outfit, and that's already been released. It's available, the regular Miles suit. I love that, but as I already said, this one is definitely starting to win me over. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and a points-based reward system. While you're down there, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. It's simple yet very effective.